Come closer, tell me what you see. Rebel fighters, our people are many, till my dying day.
The presence of Romanian traveller women on screen is as old as cinema itself, with moving images of us being projected as early as 1897 in Britain. Since then, in TV, film and pop culture, we've been used as characters to evoke fear, create elements of mystery, and be the object of desire, possess mystical powers, or have a habit of criminality.
I will roam and I will roam.
My name's Lisa Smith and I'm youth editor at Travellers Times, a magazine dedicated to combating negative mainstream media reporting by providing a platform for self-representation and ethical journalism.
Wait for our Chevys.
It struck me when I started filmmaking that depictions of us in film and TV were often focused on using our perceived gypsiness as a tool to create feelings of the other through the romanticisation or vilification of us. Growing up, I don't remember really seeing any complex Romany characters on screen, and it got me thinking about the issue of representation. So I've decided to have a chat with some Romanian traveller women to see how they feel they're portrayed in the media.
There's the aggressive, ugly, loud, uneducated gypsy woman that it's a caricature, or you have the hypersexualized Esmeralda-ification, like I like to call it, like where you can only occupy these two spaces and it's completely centered on the male gaze. And they've taken that not from our experiences or from our testimonies, but essentially from what white gorgeous people have written. And I think that that's the issue, is that they're wanting to portray the culture but without Romany people or traveller people in the conversation. Like, I think that we as Romany women represent so many people in our lives who haven't had the opportunity or the platform to showcase their strength and their intellect and importance.
And I think it's important for young people, for girls especially, to grow up and know that a traveller woman is many things.
I think for me, I remember being 15 and watching my Big Fat Gypsy Wedding and thinking, none of that is reflective of who I am. And at that time, I was at college, I was playing rugby, I was doing all of these things that weren't anything like the portrayals we see in the media. You're constantly battling against that. That was shown nearly 10 years ago, and people still bring it up.
You've got people that are going to work holding down jobs. You've got women that are going to university and studying, and they're trying to progress further somewhere and to go to a higher level. Could be doctors, could be nurses, could be anything. But I feel like it's not being projected right into the world to show what we are, how good we are. Girl power and all that.
So speaking to the women so far, it seems that narrow depictions of who Romanian traveller women are on screen means that even when we are visible, the range of contributions that we make to society seem to be missing. So with this in mind, I've next decided to have a catch up with some other women who are working in the creative industry to find out more about how they're attempting to redefine the narrative through their own creative practice.
The first piece of work I created was a short film centred around my great-granny Minty Smith. And my mum has always been interested in her family tree, and she was the one who showed me the documentary, Where Do We Go From Here? From 1969. It was my great-granny who was the forefront of the conversation, and she was walking and talking you follow me, I'm right, and you do what I say, and she was completely in control of her segment. It really made me think about who she was, and I took massive inspiration from her and her resilience, the sort of power she had through her creative means. And this really, really changed my ideas of women in our culture. It shouldn't matter to others what sort of life we decide to lead as women, or a spectacle made out of it for the entertainment of others, like we've seen in harmful documentaries over the years.
A fundamental piece of like human expression, what it is to be human is to tell stories, in my opinion. I think for me as well, being able to break down that barrier of you can talk about what it's like to be, especially for me, what it's like to be Romani, and share those stories that are specific to being Romani, because their experiences are different, their culture is different, and to tell stories about that culture without fear.
I let the moon guide me, because it moves in circles like we do.
I guess I started singing when I was a really small child, like on the tops of our kitchen table. Within the Traveller and the Romani community, to give a song is such an appreciated thing. Like, music and song is really a big part of the culture, and therefore, like, if someone says, "Oh, give us a song," you're not going to say no. So I always was encouraged to stand up and to sing and celebrated for that. And being a dual heritage British Romani has really influenced me as a person, and also influenced the work that I've done musically and in theatre. My first big break in the theatre, and the first time I ever combined art and activism, was in the production Roma Army. As far as I'm aware, it's the first time that a cast of mostly Romani actors from across Europe have been given the space on a national stage to tell their stories and to occupy that space. It's essentially about rebranding Roma. It's about reclaiming this identity which has been systematically stripped from us. The advice I would give to people from the DRT community for like breaking into the arts or doing it as a career is, of course you can do this. Like, we belong here, do it. Break in, like, bust the door down. You deserve to be there, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
We are here, and we always have been, but for too long our voices have been sidelined. But through collaboration and allyship, our stories are being brought to a wider audience.
I think being a Romani woman in British society is being a consistent voice for not only yourself, but for generations of women that have had voices and not been represented.
And it means to encourage our inner power and build each other up beyond the societal lens that's put in front of us.
I think it really does mean being brave and being fierce.